broadcast network, Afterbuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. Afterbuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
What?
Bye.
I know we gotta sing it ourselves. Oh, there it is. I was like, we gotta have our theme music.
Yes.
It's Hell's Kitchen. It has to be hot in here. You know what I'm saying? Ladies and gentlemen, you are definitely in the right place. This is the one and only Hell's Kitchen After Show. I am your host, Lem Gonsalves, and I'm super excited. It is only episode 2 of season 15, and it's going down like majorly in Hell's Kitchen fashion. Of course, I got my boy, my main man, my partner in crime, Mr. Frank Moran. Frank, what's up, boy?
How much? I'm excited.
Right?
This is gonna be a hot night tonight.
It's gonna be a super hot night.
Yes.
Why is it gonna be hot, Frank?
Because we have just not only a guest,
Right.
We have a winner.
A winner, season 10 winner, and get this, drum roll please, the current season sous chef. Woo. Ladies and gentlemen, if we can get some applause from the engineer, Miss Christina Wilson. Yeah!
I dig that button.
Right. You see, that's how we treat our guests.
Everyday.
You know what I'm saying? You should carry that around with you. You know what I'm saying? Just a speaker box like how they did in the 80s and walk around.
Like it.
It's awesome. Christina, we are so excited that you are here. I'm excited when I was told that you were going to become. This is episode 2, mind you. You know, we're talking about 18 episodes.
Just getting warmed
It's
up.
episode 2, and we already have superstar Hell's Kitchen royalty in the house.
Yeah, thank
First
you.
of all, how are you feeling?
I feel great. Really great.
Yes.
It's so nice. I'm from the East Coast. They're buried in about 3 feet of snow.
Right, I
now.
saw
Yes.
that.
My friends are texting me today, sending me pictures. I sent them one of the ocean. I said,
Yeah.
I'm 67 and beautiful here.
Sorry.
Feel your
about it.
pain.
This is how I'm doing.
Yes.
This is how I'm
Yes.
treated.
It's exactly how I'm doing. Thank you.
But yeah, I'm really excited. Like I said, you're our past winner, and you're the current season, first time being the sous chef on the show.
Yeah.
Really excited. We were talking a little bit about that before we started taping. But tell us a little bit about just that experience, because obviously, you know, you've been on the one side as a contestant. Now as a sous chef, do you literally stick it to him now? Like, is it payback? Like, I mean, really?
Yeah.
Tell me how that goes.
I mean, like you mentioned, it's only episode 2, so there's a lot that's going to unfold throughout the season. And I think especially when you get into the meat of the season, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Right.
9th episode, that's when you really, the stress starts to get to people. The personalities start to come out. Their fuses get a little bit shorter. And that I don't deal with well. So there may or may not be a little conflict there.
Little conflict.
Mostly, I really empathize for the women, especially because Aaron's taking care of the blue team and does a great job and doing a great job. But you have that many women in one kitchen. It's tough.
I can
it's
imagine.
really tough.
I can imagine.
Now, do
And
you
I've-
give advice, or do they come to you for advice?
A little of both. I think chef is, believe it or not, it's tough because things get edited, and it's the amount of footage they have per episode and what actually is makes it
It's
to
aired.
TV.
Right.
I don't think people realize how involved Gordon is with the contestants, but he really is, and that truly helped shape the path of my career after my time on Hell's Kitchen because of that one-on-one time that we got with him and all that advice. And I've been fortunate that I do get to, especially during punishments. Nobody wants to lose. Of
course
But
not.
those days, the silver lining to that is that you get all day with me.
Yes.
And
yes.
everybody else gets to go home for the day.
Right.
Not me. So
Right.
some days, I'm a little testy, but at least you learn. If nothing else, you're learning a little bit.
Well, in this particular season, that's probably why we haven't seen you kind of in your element as the sous chef, because the women have been winning.
Yes.
This is the episode 2. too, and they won, and we'll get into it, but they won for the second time.
Yes.
And so the men are being losers.
Yeah.
And so they got to hang out, you know what I'm saying, with your boy. But I think it's, I guess it's a lesser of two evils, because as a sous chef, you know, like you said, you're there all day with them. So it's like, okay, yeah, you're going to see me on camera, but also, if I'm not here, then that means I'm having a better time, right?
Yeah, usually.
Exactly. But no, I think that's amazing. I kind of want to talk a little bit about your personal season.
Okay.
Season 10, which I was a big fan of.
Yeah.
I definitely, not just because you're here, but I was definitely rooting for you.
I appreciate
Definitely
that.
rooting for you.
Even if it's just because I am.
No, I swear on everything that I love. I really did want, and even when you showed up, I don't remember which season, but you did like a guest appearance.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was like, oh, that's Christina.
Yeah.
I know her. I remember her. And the people even remembered you.
Yes.
The contestants on that particular season.
Yeah.
I think it was like 2 seasons ago.
It was.
And they remembered you.
They were in Vegas. I think it was season 12.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, because one of them almost took me over the balcony.
Yeah.
Because they won a trip to Vegas and overnight, and they were in the suite.
Right.
And I remember I walked in there, because I'm waiting for them, and I was so mad. And I'm looking at the producers. I'm like, we didn't have this on our season. What happened in the budget
Jealousy.
meeting that we were like, sleeping in a trailer somewhere,
Right.
albeit with a nice view and a fun day. But we definitely didn't have marble floors and 6 bedrooms. And
Absolutely.
that was a really fun day. I enjoyed that cast a lot.
Yes. So let's go back to season 10. Some time ago, some years ago, you're a contestant. You get picked to be on the show. Like you say, you're from the East Coast. Was this your first time coming into LA? Or had you been before?
I had been one time before. I helped my friend move across the country. I drove with her, and then I flew back.
Wasn't a pleasure trip at all.
Nah, not really.
So, really invested in LA.
Yes.
You're here.
Yes.
Where are you from, the East Coast?
New Jersey.
New Jersey. Word.
My adult life has mostly been in Philadelphia. I went to Temple University, but I grew up, born and raised in the great state of New Jersey.
Right.
Very proud of that.
So you're here, and you're on Hell's Kitchen. We had Josh, Mr. Colorful Man, on the show last week.
He's a bright one.
He's super bright. But you see, and we were talking about this too, but you see Chef Ramsey. You obviously have seen the show. Otherwise, how to get picked on there. What is that experience like? Your words.
It is, you'll never be prepared for it, which is, I think, me personally, but I think chefs in general, we're very we line it up. We like to have our prep list. We like to know who's working. We're very kind of regimented, very methodical. And there, all of that goes out the window. So everything that they throw at you completely goes against your grain as a person and a chef. And on top of it, you have one of the most highly decorated chefs in the world, who continues to push the bar in the restaurant scene in the UK, Asia, America, everywhere.
Right.
He's still pushing. At
worldwide,
49
international.
years old. He's
he's holding it down.
He's still setting that bar. So then you have this kind of pressure cooker that you live and work in, and then you're presenting every single thing you do to this guy who most of us have idolized for decades, and part of the reason why we even chose this career path was because you're inspired by people like Chef, and it's so nerve-wracking, and I blame most of my gray hair on being on that show. And it was by far the hardest, most fulfilling, but definitely the hardest job interview I've ever been on.
At any point during the season, it's certainly nerve-wracking. First, you're meeting Gordon Ramsay. You're going through all these kind of challenges and tests. You're getting woken up at super early in the morning, things that you're not prepared for as a chef. Is there any point in the season that you started kind of getting comfortable?
No.
At all?
Never.
In the sense where you're at least comfortable in your cooking ability? I relax, I got this.
Yeah, there was, I can say that, yeah. And I remember for me specifically when it happened, we were doing a challenge for citizens that had just been sworn in to be citizens of the U.S. So we did this
I remember that.
all-American, we served pizza, sliders, grilled cheese, and French fries. And I remember when we were figuring out who's going to go in what station, who's going to work where. And we're just a bunch of women, and everybody's kind of bickering. And I hadn't caught my footing yet in the kitchen. I still felt out of sorts. I wasn't doing horrible. I was, kind of staying under the radar, doing
middle
my
of the road,
thing.
pack.
And I remember looking around, and the girls were all just like, no, I want to work here. And I'm like, I couldn't. I was ready. I grew up with 3 older brothers. We fight each other, and then it's over. There's no real bickering. So this was all new to me. And And I remember just like putting my hand down and saying, like, I'm working grill. I don't care. You guys can keep deciding who's better where. I'm working grill, which is where I'm most comfortable. And I can picture it. And as soon as I like caught my rhythm in that challenge, and we ended up winning, kicked her, actually smoked the guys in that one. After that, I felt so comfortable and so much more comfortable in that kitchen, because I've been doing something that was like really kind of muscle memory to me, really like kind of my safe place is the grill. And so I'm so thankful for that challenge, and that everybody else was too busy fighting with each other that they didn't much care that that's what I chose. And that was truly when I started to have a little bit more of a voice, catch my stride, a little more comfortable. And you lose your confidence like immediately. You walk in there, you feel like your chest is puffed out. Yes, I got this. And then your eyes, with your signature dish in hand, slowly go up 6 feet and 4 inches, and you're presenting this like now what feels like mediocrity to Chef Ramsay. I mean, it knocks you in your place.
It's got to be daunting.
Yeah. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, but that, yes, you do feel out of sorts, and that challenge for me. And thankfully that happened kind of early on in the season. So I was able to then just kind of grow in that kitchen, be a little more of a leader on my side of the wall there, and obviously it all worked out.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. I mean, I'm not a cook. I mean, I try. I mean, I make a mean hot pocket.
Nice.
Like the temperature is just perfect. Like
good.
I got it
It's a
down
hard
to a
one to
science.
nail.
I mean, I try. But I mean, just this is your passion, you know. And like you said, to invest in, like some people, they do this profession because of Chef Ramsay. They've seen what he's done, and just idolize him, and to go there and to really be knocked down a few pegs, like you said, going there with your chest, or just have no confidence and then try to find some in order to advance in the competition.
That's it's so great that you said that, because there's one contestant in particular this season who started out that way, and the learning curve for her. It was just, it's one of the things I'm most proud of, being on, coming back as sous chef for this season. You're going to see this woman start out, same thing, just kind of not real sure, and here we go. And she just really catches her stride, and she does well. She, we always have hiccups, but when you see the learning curve from the other side, people that didn't have that confidence, that weren't so sure, but they want it, and they're sponges, and they soak it in, and they're able to execute it. It was really interesting for me to see that other side of it, and super, super proud of all the girls, honestly. And some of the guys too. They're a bunch of knuckleheads, but I didn't have to deal with them too much.
Well, for you, how did you grow? I mean, as you're talking about like, people growing and changing and kind of getting beaten down and rising back up over the course of your season, how do you think you grew as a chef or changed as a chef by the end of it? Yeah,
I think I got a little bit more resilient, and I stopped taking criticism personally. So there are times when you put your heart and soul into a dish and you're like, yes, I nailed it. And then you present it and it's like, oh no, I didn't. And it's hard to hear that. But at some point, I realized that it's constructive, and it's meant to be constructive. And so I needed to just take it as such, pull from it what I needed to make that dish better, and kind of forget the donkey and donut and the explicitives that were
all the words that you used,
all that grand advice.
Well, I think it's a tough thing, because you want to cook with passion, but you don't want to have the ego attached to it. I guess that's got to be an incredibly fine line to walk as a chef.
Yes, and it's also hard to cook for other people. I think so often we cook within our comfort zone, which is something you'll see immediately in the signature dish challenge, right? So that's it's your signature dish. It shouldn't be something you've never cooked before. It should be your go-to. It should be your like third date. Somebody's coming over. This is my dish. You should nail it every time. Deal. Exactly.
Yes.
Maybe wait until after the third. That was not a PSA for sex on a third. Sorry. But yeah, you cook for yourself, or you cook for your mom or your boyfriend or whatever it is. You don't open up your mind enough to be able to cook for a restaurant, or say, this is modern, pub fare. I'm not going to put this very delicate, fancy dish on there. It doesn't match. So it's in a weird way, it really teaches you to shift gears and to really cook towards your audience, because the challenges are different every time. Dinner services, the menu's the same basically, but he'll always have something tableside, or maybe there's a special guest in house, and he loves some things that you guys don't always catch. He loves to go off menu when there's people at a chef's table.
Oh,
So
really?
right when you're in the thick of it and you're like barely hanging on,
Right.
but then you get it and everybody's feeling good. He's like, oh, you know what? We have everything up here to make a carbonara. Why don't you do that for the chef's table? And you're just
Right.
like,
What?
you know, but he sees how you react,
Right.
and everything that man does is with such purpose, without you even knowing it. So.
Tell me this, and this is something that I've watched pretty much every single season since season 1, been a fan, and it seems to me that he really, and you kind of mentioned it a little bit, when somebody has, where let's say they didn't start off, too hot, and it could be just lack of experience, maybe they're just a line cook or they work in a place that they just haven't been able to garner that experience, like maybe someone else who's already been a sous chef or something like that, and they basically end up growing, and they grow and they grow and they grow. I feel like, because I've even seen in some seasons where they may not win, but he'll like, I'm going to send you to culinary school on me, or I'm going to make sure that you do this because I have a spot for you.
Yeah.
And I feel like he really appreciates that.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing is, it's withstanding. I mean, there's a lot of pressure, obviously. It's not Hell's Kitchen for nothing. It's not Heaven's Kitchen, right? You know what I'm saying?
Good point.
That's the whole premise of the show. So it's like, I think you're put in the fire to see if you're made gold, because that's what essentially happens with that medal. So is that true? Am I correct in that?
No, you're absolutely correct. And I think that, I don't know if it's because he is such a big deal that a lot of times when he says that, people don't know if he's serious or if he's just talking. He is so serious. And I've seen him do it. And we actually have John Scallion, who was runner-up. He came in 3rd place for season 12. Janelle won that season. Mary the Butcher came in 2nd. And John met him. He came out for the finale. As they presented Janelle in Las Vegas, and met him. I fell in love with him. He is such a good guy, so passionate. Everything you look for in a cook. And Gordon and I were there talking with him, and Gordon kind of hits me, and I was at steak at the time. He's like, "You have a job for him, right?" Absolutely, chef. Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
We had a little whiskey in us.
Yeah.
And it was a party. The next morning, John called me, and he's like, "You remember, you have that job?" And I'm like,
What?
"Actually," and he's like, "Yeah, I remember me and chef." I was like, "Oh shit, yeah, you're right." He's went from line cook. He is now and currently is still at Gordon Ramsay Steak as one of the sous chefs and one of the most integral members of that team, and all because chef said, "Hey, I got a job for you," and John is that passionate and will put himself out there that hard.
Wow.
That what he did was he followed up.
Right.
And the job was there for him. And he has since been an amazing success and really somebody I lean on hugely in my new position. I know that I can count on John, and I know when it's time for menu changes, he's going to be thinking way outside the box, way ahead of the curve, and he is shining bright in that position in Vegas. And
that's awesome.
That's Gordon
That's
seeing
awesome.
something in somebody that wasn't necessarily the winner. Maybe he wasn't the right fit for pub or what the prize was.
Right.
But he saw that potential, and he wasn't going to let John go. So
that to me that speaks volumes, because like you said, in a show like this, it's a competition. It is a reality show also at the end of the day, so people look for the drama, people look for people to fight or get cussed out or all those elements, but the fact that, like you said, he can see potential in somebody and actually give them a job outside of the show that could change their life and their career. I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing.
What is what is the difference between working for Gordon and having you as an employer as opposed to just like a judge or somebody that's running this competition? What is the biggest? Do you know
the biggest difference?
Yeah.
He is such a great mentor, and he has this way about him. I don't think I could ever articulate it. He just makes you want more. So he is. We finished one project and we're barely asleep before the phone rings and there's another one in the pipeline. Hey, what do you think about this? Let's put this. Let's just put this on the table. Let's just talk about it. Let's get in the think tank and talk about it. And he has the energy of like a 10-year-old boy. Like it just doesn't stop. And he just has this passion for culinary everything. And probably the biggest difference is that mentoring role. And I think he does it on the show also. But for me specifically, I find that he always puts the bar a little ahead of where I'm actually at, which works beautifully for me because the second I go on my heels, I just get complacent and it's no good for me. So I like to be a little like I'm playing catch up all the time.
Got it.
I love it. And he's very accessible, and if I'm not sure about something, and if my immediate support around me, which he makes sure we all have, other chefs, other operations managers and such within the company, if they can't answer it, or if I'm not that satisfied, then I call him or I text him, and he'll call and check in. So it's very much a partnership he has with everybody from lower level to his number 2 guy. He's hands-on with everything, and just that mentorship that I never in my wildest dreams would I have ever thought that
would happen.
Yeah, be under Gordon Ramsay in that capacity.
That's amazing.
Life-changing, really.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's call from Gordon Ramsay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Why don't you come up right now? No, just
You know, I mean, he just landed. He's here. I mean, we probably could. I'll be unemployed tomorrow.
I was going to say, we don't want you to give you a job. All right, so let's get into this season. And Christina, when you're talking, make sure you stay on that mic. I'm going to start off, just as the show start off. This is a guy I don't think I'm going to like this season, but Mr. Frank.
Frankie the Marine?
Yes.
Oh, you'll love him.
I'm just right now, he's not my favorite. I'm just being there. But he starts off by being a little cocky. He's asserting himself. He's definitely, you could see he's an
Like
alpha
the alpha
male.
dog,
Exactly.
yep.
He's doing that thing. And then Vanessa, on your side, she starts falling apart. I feel bad for her.
Yes, I felt bad for Vanessa.
Manny
as well.
starts comforting her. And then we get into the actual challenge, which was really crazy. We see these men who are, look like guards, and Chef Ramsay's like, okay, these are, palace guards, from Buckingham Palace, and I flew them in here, and, we're going to learn from them. And so you're like, okay, and they're sitting there. Charlie and Philip are their names. And so the challenge is that they have to make a shrimp dumpling dish. And so they have 20 minutes to make, and then they have to put 5 in a basket, have to make, have as many complete baskets as possible. And so the whole challenge is trying to alleviate distraction, right? So I'm thinking like, oh, okay, maybe they're going to have to stand still, thinking of these palace guards. No, all of a sudden they're standing there, and then this big band comes in and starts playing, and everybody's like, "Oh shoot!" And they're looking around, and they're like, "Oh, we got to stay focused." But then this is the crazy part: the guards, quote unquote, start stripping.
Yes.
I'm like, whoa, what just happened right there? And then the lady's like, oh my gosh. I mean, were you... Please tell me about, I want to know first that live account. I mean, first of all, did you know ahead of time this was going to happen? So you had no idea either?
We are all... No, we don't, because there's that surprise element.
Oh, they want that to capture that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, please tell me, what was that like?
It was intense, because again, you already have the pressure of being in Hell's Kitchen. It's a challenge. They're there, they're like two episodes in. They've only been there a few nights or that first week or whatever. So they're still not completely comfortable. They don't know each other.
Right.
They hardly know each other. They've only cooked with each other one time. And now you go... And the signature dish challenge is so different, because that's your thing. So this is really, I think this was really like their first challenge, right? So now you're in partners, and maybe you don't really like that part. There's all these variables.
Right.
And then you have these half-naked guards. And I can tell you, when you're like cooped up because you live upstairs, you work downstairs, and that's it.
Right.
That little bit of flesh, whether you're into it or not, it is so distracting, and you just can't. There's something about it. But again, even if it's not your cup of tea, you're
even
just
still,
like,
you're like,
that's a live human with no clothes on right there. Like you have to look. It's like something innately, primal almost makes you focus in on that.
Well, I saw the ring girl walk in, and I was like, if that would have walked past me, I would have had a hard time concentrating, especially given the conditions.
I'm telling
like you said, you're sequestered.
It's not okay.
Yeah, and I know when they do these tapings, they keep you away. There's no TV. There's
no music.
None of that
You're
stuff.
in a twin bed, for
exactly.
Christ's sake, for roommates.
Right, yeah.
I didn't even do that in college.
Right. And then you have 2 sumo wrestlers come out.
I thought that was great. They're slapping themselves all crazy. Like, again, you just can't take your eyes off it. Because I've never seen a sumo wrestler. I've never seen it.
Live,
been there like, oh shit, is that how they, wait, hold on. And you're just intrigued by it.
Right,
and and the band is like, cymbals everywhere.
Going.
Yeah, I felt for those girls. I was cracking up. Once I saw what was happening, I'm watching from the corner, and I was dying.
No, that was great. That was great.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Yeah.
But you'll see that throughout the season. It's what is it, 15 times over now. You know,
Right.
they have to
Right.
keep it inventive.
Oh,
and you'll
sure.
see it. You'll see it for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think they have their stationary things. There are going to be challenges. There's going to be dinner service. There's a winner. There's a loser. I mean, there's things that are,
Yeah,
you
that
know,
blueprint.
textbook.
Yep.
But then you have the differences like this. Like,
Yeah.
I did not expect that, you
Yeah.
know, at all. And especially he's from England. So I'm thinking like, oh, he really did.
Yeah,
That's
for
pretty
somebody-
cool. And then they start like, whoa, no, these
Yeah.
aren't the real guards.
And it doesn't help that Chef goes up there when he's demoing it. He's
Yeah.
talking. Doesn't even have to look. I don't know if anybody else noticed that.
No.
But when he's doing
No.
his
Oh, yeah.
dumplings, he's like, you know, you just want to put. He's like looking around. He's like,
Yeah.
you just want to put some water on it and do this.
Yeah.
And you're like, how do you? What
Right.
can't you do in a
Right.
kitchen? Like, what can't you do? How do you? You don't even serve. Not one of his restaurants does he serve dumplings.
That's
like, why does he
crazy.
know how to do that? How
That's
does he?
crazy.
And to do it with such ease, it's
Yeah.
just, yeah, and
Like nothing.
yeah.
He's
Yeah.
literally like magic hands.
Yes.
And
It's
yeah,
unreal.
Yeah. No, I've seen this and I've talked to other people, you know, from previous shows and stuff like that. And they say the same thing. They're like, he does it so easy that it's you marvel at
Yes.
what he's able to do,
Yeah.
you know, when he's preparing something, when he's
effortless.
showing you and he's
Yeah.
demo something. It's mind boggling.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like,
Agreed.
and then you try to do it and you're like, what? And it's falling apart and all this
then
kind of
there's
stuff.
sumo wrestlers
Right.
and having to get women. And yeah, it doesn't make it easy.
All right, so the red team goes up first, and so they have a good start. Kevin and Chad, they get 4 points, and then you have Frank and Hassan, and they made pierogies. They didn't
Yeah,
really
that
make
was
that.
way off. They
Yeah,
were
that
way
was
off.
he was doing too much. So no points for them. Joe and Eddie, they were kind of bad. They only got 1 point, and then Alan's team, and he was in the one-on-ones. He was like, oh, I got this.
Yeah.
You know, Asian food, that's my thing.
Yeah.
You know, and he lived up to it.
Yeah.
They got 7 points for his team. So they ended up with 12. And so you had Danny and Jackie from your squad.
Yep.
They have a strong start with 6.
Yeah.
Get 6 points. And then there's a trio of girls. They only get 2 points. That was pretty bad.
That was a tough one.
That was pretty bad.
Sometimes too many hands in the
Yeah,
pot. there,
and
you know?
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking. So you have Vanessa and Sharkina. They get 3. And then Ashley and Ariel only need 2
Mm-hmm.
to basically put it over the edge to make it 13, and they get the 2.
Yeah.
So red team wins again for the second time. And they get to go to Jeffrey's on the beach in Malibu. Have you been there?
I've not
Frank?
been there, and especially not been there going by helicopter.
Well, yeah. I mean, I didn't think that.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't think of a
No,
helicopter
you don't
lying
know
around.
that?
I mean, no.
Yeah.
Not like that, man. Not like that. You look like the helicopter guy. I'm
yeah.
just saying, no one has a helicopter in their backyard, probably except Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
And so they go by helicopter, which looked amazing. And the blue team, I want to talk to you about this because I'm like, they're pruning. I've never seen this before. They prune logs of mushrooms. Can you explain it? Because I'm thinking you pick mushrooms from the ground and they come, but there were actually logs. Have you ever
Yes.
seen that? Frank?
I've never seen that.
It's
That was
just
really cool.
yeah,
Frank?
it's just a better way to have them grow when you're selling them to
Okay.
restaurants and such. You know, you can't just go out and forage every day, or you could. You would just have a smaller
smaller-
client base.
got it.
But it's a really good kind of or natural way to allow them to grow and then to be able to harvest them a little bit easier
Right.
as opposed to just opening a field and then you separate. You know, you have your maitakes, your hedgehogs. It's
Got it.
Yeah, it is fairly common.
Okay, because I'd never heard of it before.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen it on a Hell's Kitchen before.
I think that they typically, you know, when they get to the restaurant, they've already been trimmed. Like you're looking
it.
at what happens on the farm.
Oh,
so
I
a farmer
see.
would normally do that for you.
and then send it to the
clean
restaurant.
them. And then, so then when I get them, they're all nice. I don't have to do too much.
Got it.
But yeah,
Got it.
that wasn't the best job.
No.
Yeah, no, I thought that was quite interesting.
Those mushrooms were beautiful, though. I remember when
Oh,
they
yeah.
came in, we were like,
Yeah, when it's so early in the season, there's so many people that are on the red team. How do you handle that? You've got Gordon there for appearance. Like, how is it? Everybody just trying to like get their time in with Gordon, or is it pretty civilized? Everybody's kind of respectful.
nah, yeah, I think everybody's pretty respectful. I noticed that on my season also, we won the first couple challenges, and we went to Catalina one day, and it was a lot of us still on, and I didn't to him at all. Not one word. I didn't ask him any questions, but there was other women that were, or my teammates that were, oh, what about this? What about that? And I just sat and listened and said, okay, I really actually don't have anything to ask him right now that's going to apply to where I'm at.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
just how are we getting home? And, am I going to make it to see another day? Like that's basically all I had. But you'll see that. And I actually think that, and I wonder if it'll ring true. I'll have to pay closer attention to them at Jeffrey's. But I noticed with my season, the people that were all about getting that FaceTime and talking to him and pay attention to me, didn't really last that long.
Interesting.
So I wonder if their motives for being on the show or if were a little different, or if they were just kind of that distracted by being that close and outside of a work setting with Gordon that they kind of let their mindset get a little soft.
Well, it seems like, and I've seen this, multiple times, and we saw it tonight. When he gets you, in that setting, you've won. He's very laid back. He's not like he is in the kitchen, and he's even telling him, he's like, "Hey, I'm Gordon right now. I'm not Chef Ramsey, so talk to me like that." Of course, the girls tend to swoon, and they're like, "Oh," and whatever. And so, but they talk to him, and it feels like he wants to make it as comfortable as it can be. I mean, he's still, I'm sure, intimidating because he is still Gordon Ramsay, but to ask, for them to ask questions and things of that nature.
Yeah, he does do that, which I always felt it to be a bit of a bear trap, because it's like, wait a minute, like this is only a half a day or an overnight that we get to relax, and then you have to immediately shift gears
back
as soon as you
into
get back. And the downside to that, and I actually most of our punishments I didn't mind. The dumpster diving, horrendous.
Terrible, yes.
Horrendous. And plus, Justin kept gagging, so it was really just me and Barbie doing it. It was a whole thing. But at least with the punishments, like, you learned something. I remember we had to, baste a pig all night, but we had to break it down. We got to break down half a steer, which was awesome, because we got the butcher. We did some work with lamb. So when you have the punishments, it at least keeps you in that mindset of kitchen. When you get out, you get this little taste of freedom, and then all of a sudden you got to go back. You're like, and you want to kind of show it all. So you get back, you're like taunting the blue team a little, like, oh yeah, we started with caviar, we finished with this, gold covered ice cream or something, and Gordon was there the whole time. So you get this false sense of kind of security and closeness and what Hell's Kitchen is actually about. So, and
then they flips the script.
Yeah. And it's tough. It's tough to shift gears.
It's a bit of a catch-22. So I mean, I can definitely see that, because and it's interesting because of course he's a pro at this.
Yeah.
So he's gonna bait you all day and be like, "Yeah, I'm Gordon. Call me Gordon." And as soon as you're back in that kitchen, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And the donkeys come out, and all of that expletives come out. So it is. I can see how you could feel a false sense of security.
He got me one time on my season, and unfortunately, well, I guess it ended up working out fine for me, but it was our last challenge, the final challenge, me and Justin.
Oh, okay.
He takes us to Las Vegas for an overnight. He says, "Don't worry about it. I just want you to meet with your sous chefs, plan out your menu.
Yeah.
Really, you guys have been through a lot. Like, just take half a day." And I didn't believe it. I swear to God, I did not believe it.
You did not believe it.
I didn't believe it. And then he's like, "No, we're just going to go to a show. We're going to Penn and Teller." And our families are there. My girlfriend at the time, my mom, Justin had his parents there. And I'm like, I put a dress on. I'm like, man, something just feels really off. My girlfriend used to always yell at me. I'd always have a hair tie. And she's like, it's not jewelry. But I always, I might have to throw my hair up, whatever. And I remember no, don't put it on. She's going to get mad. And I was like, screw it. Wear a bracelet. Just cover it. So I did. Thank God, because then we're sitting in the front row thinking it's going to be this great show. And, and 5 minutes later, we're being pulled on stage for our final challenge, and I'm in a dress and open-toed shoes and my hair down. And I just looked at him, and I remember just I felt like I feel with my brother sometimes. Like, I just want to shake the shit out of you. And be like, oh, I knew it. But instead, I was able to put my hair back up and run to the kitchen. But yeah, it's weird. It's such a weird back and forth. You can't relax, but he knows how to get you to, which is the worst.
Because you want to. Worst. You're human. You're like, I want to. Right?
No, relax. Really, come on, loosen up, Christina. What's wrong with you? And I'm like, I'll loosen up when you do, chef. I'm trying to stay focused. But same thing with the you'll see it with the contestants this year too.
So let's get into dinner service. So it starts off, normal. You got the blue team, red team. There's a lot of interesting that happened with this particular service, because there was a special guest that showed up unannounced, supposedly, which I thought was dope because I'm a big fan.
I love it.
But starting off, always start off with the struggles, right? So Joe, Mr. Joe, he drops a lamb chop, and then he also forgets an order. So he's, of course, standing out in a bad way.
Yes.
Right? And then on your side, we have Ashley, who actually didn't have her burner on and wasn't cooking anything.
Yes.
Supposed to be risotto, but she was chilling the risotto because there was nothing on. And so then, as I mentioned, we have the game one of the dopest rappers out, shows up with an entourage. Like, hey, y'all got a table for us? And they're like, let me check. Goes to Gordon, and he's like, yeah, we'll fit you in, and type situation, and then kind of puts two tables together that we see, and then ends up splitting it between the red team and the blue team. So now they have to do half, and they have to do half. And then, so like you said, it sounds like it's kind of like that chef's table type thing, where just throwing a monkey wrench in the situation.
Yeah.
How did they, the contestants act regarding that?
I know there was a few. I don't know how they reacted on the blue side. I can't see everything over there. But I know some of my girls got distracted immediately.
Ariel.
Yes.
Obviously, it's the
Sure,
game, and
yeah.
not only
She got really
is
excited.
he, kind of nice to look at,
Sure.
but he like dominated the early millennium in the hip hop.
Oh,
world,
absolutely, absolutely.
So I think, there was like probably about two, if I remember correctly, about 2 or 3 minutes where they were kind of like buzzing around the kitchen, and it was like, all right, okay,
Right.
you've had your 90 seconds of fawning over this guy. Let's pull it together.
Let's go.
And that's unique. And yeah, like you said, that's one of the things Chef will do, because now you have two kitchens that can't really see each other. So they're separated by a wall, but they have to come up at the same time. So without the contestants knowing it, that's Chef working on your verbal skills and your timing.
Right.
So they don't, in the moment, you don't understand what he's doing.
Right.
But what he's doing is seeing, are you able to come up on time with the kitchen that you can't see? So if I tell you 2 minutes out, 2 minutes out, is it a true 2 minutes? Or is it going to be 4? Or is it going to be 5? Because if you lie on your time, it is going to show, because half the table will be eating and the other half won't. So it's like he's so good. He's so good. He's so smart and clever. And there are just these little things that are built in. And that in and of itself, Chef watching now, because he can go back and forth and see, he sees you're so much more exposed than you realize in what you're doing. Because maybe you're having a great dinner service. Yeah, I'm like cruising along.
Right.
Now the game's there, you get a little buzz.
Right.
You're back on your feet, let's do it. But are you actually cooking efficiently? Are you executing like to the right standard?
Right.
And you see some hiccups on that table. So
Wow.
But yeah, there's method behind all of his madness.
All the madness.
Which is mad in and of itself.
Right.
Well, with Joe, because I was talking about at the beginning, he struggled certainly at the beginning, but when he drops the lamb, but he immediately just calls out to Jared and says, like, hey, I just need an extra 40 seconds. So I feel like he was communicating well. And I feel like that's a success. That's a secret to a successful table service. As long as you're communicating throughout the entire time, you're going to do well. But I feel like when people start breaking down and they start kind of getting lost in their own station, they're not talking, then I feel like that's when everything starts going down.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. It is, and that's one thing. It's so obvious when people aren't talking. A quiet kitchen is not great. You don't want people talking unnecessarily, but and that's something Chef will pick up. I mean, we pick it up as a sous chefs too. As soon as we don't hear and now my back's to you, so I'm maybe plating, but I need to hear your 30-second call, your 1 minute call. Right. So I shouldn't have to turn around at all throughout service. I should he calls the dishes. Right. You're counting down until you come to the window. I should be able to stay back to you the entire service.
And be good to go.
If you're talking properly. But
Makes sense.
You're absolutely right.
So continue on with dinner service. So we have Ariel, who ended up grabbing some fish too early. And of course, but she doesn't own up to it, which is kind of messed up. Yeah. Mies takes the fall for it because technically she was the one that cooked it. And then we have Shirkina, who kept burning the Arctic char. Is that a hard fish to cook, or was that just don't know how to make that particular fish?
It's not. No, it's not a hard fish to cook. I think one of the things that really messed Shirkina up is that it's a fish that you kind of have to let go. You let the skin get crispy once, like maybe 3 minutes. You flip it for a minute. It's done. It's that simple. It's so simple that you can mess it up so easily. So I think that. And when you're in that kitchen, a minute feels like 10. And so, she's just staring at a fish in a pan. And it's just instinct. You want to touch it. You want to check, is it okay? And you can't do that because as soon as you lift it, the skin will stick if it hasn't been on the skin side long enough to get crispy to non-stick.
Got it.
So I think that she was just got a little too inside her own head because I was with her all day. She cooked it fine.
Oh, okay.
Shirkina's actually pretty strong.
Pretty strong.
Not the best environment
just let it
for
get to
I
her.
think, but
Got it.
Well, she was at least honest that she wasn't comfortable cooking that.
Which is huge.
Yes. Is that good to be able to admit that weakness, or is it like you shouldn't do it?
I mean, I would, as the sous chef, I would rather you let me know because I can send somebody to help you out. As a contestant, again, it puts you in that position where you're exposed and you're vulnerable. So now your team knows that you suck at fish, so they want to see you go down. Guess where they're going to put you? Or if you're in a challenge the next day, guess what they're going to make sure you have to cook. You know, so it's odd that there's that element to the show as well. There's this kind of like almost internalized sabotage going on within the team sometimes. Ideally, you want them all to work together, right? But it's just not what naturally unfolds.
Makes sense.
But yes, I as the sous chef would prefer to know that you're not comfortable. I would so much rather take that 30 seconds to show you than spend the 3 minutes explaining to chef why I can't send a table.
Well, Danny jumps in to help her out, and there's some chefs that seem to react like when another chef jumps in to help them. Some of them get really offended by that, and some of them like welcome the help. So I feel like you can't. That's another example of letting your ego get in the way. If you do that, then I feel like that's also going to damage the table service as well.
I think it also depends on how you jump in. Danny's great. I love Danny. She is, but she's that way. It doesn't matter like who's going down. She will, if she can, she will. And you'll see that throughout the season.
Danny's actually one of my front runners right now. So she's one of my favorites.
Yeah, she's good. She's so strong. I would. I would hire her tomorrow. I would. She was really good.
Yeah, she's good.
And just composed and strong and really super passionate.
She's that boxer, right?
I know.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I know. She came out guns a-blazing.
All right, so deliberation happens in the sense of him deciding which team is going to win. Both teams did complete dinner service. Red team loses. So your squad loses. Unfortunately, they have to choose not 2, but 3 nominees. So they choose Mies, Ariel, and Shakina.
Yes.
I was okay with that decision based on what I saw.
Yes.
You know, we know editing, you know, I always tell people with these reality shows, editing, you know, they kind of make it to where they want the show to go. So, but what I saw, I thought those were three good picks. Unfortunately, Shakina's eliminated.
Yes.
She's gone. And again, I know you said, you know, she's cool. From what I saw, I agreed with that decision.
Yep. Yeah, no, it was the right one.
I agree with that decision.
And you have to go on that dinner service. You can't always make a decision based on potential.
Right.
If there was something that was that off, you
especially early on too, I think.
Yeah.
You know, you got so many contestants still. And I think anytime you show that, like you said, it's not a hard fish to cook. You just got to know how to cook it. And then to make that mistake over and over again.
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's going to play.
He'll take a mistake. Trust me, he's taken me by my collar into the walk-in and laced me so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he takes time to show you it 1 or 2 times, if you mess it up the 3rd time, you're done. And I fully support his decision with that because you can't just keep repeating yourself, you know.
Because it feels like, as he said, like you were in the weeds and you didn't bounce back. And I feel like that's what he always like. If you bounce back from those situations, then he's going to respect you.
Right.
And you kind of saw that from Vanessa. Vanessa didn't do great her first dinner service, but she didn't give up. She didn't just lay down.
That's true.
And she asked for help when she needed it. And
That's
she
true.
looked a hot mess over. I mean, she was like sweating it out, but she did better. But she didn't give up. She asked for help when she needed it. She stayed steady. She did what she could. It wasn't very much, but she did what she could.
Right.
And you're right. He does definitely look for that bounce back. 100%.
So real quick, we got a few more minutes left. I want you to go back in time once again to that final with you.
Yeah. What a great night.
Tell me about that really quick.
Really quick. Jesus. I could talk about this night for
I'm sure you
forever
can.
and ever. Honestly, my squad did so well. So well. And I owe so much of how big a platform spring I had from winning the show to them, because Robin and I didn't necessarily get along in the season, and Kimmy and I had our punches too, a little here and there, little stuff, nothing serious. And Patrick, I hadn't worked with because he was on the blue side, and then Dana, my rock, my girl, my bed, her bed was right next to mine, and I needed that. I needed to have my kind of right hand there. But my team really, I did not give them an easy menu. I mean, I put scallops with risotto as an appetizer just because I'm that kind of dick. Like, it's just like, no, you know what gets messed up in this kitchen all the time? Scallops, risotto. Let's put them together and nail it. That's what we're going to do. And that's just kind of how I am.
Yeah.
but yeah, I was so proud of them, and I couldn't have asked for a better showing from those guys. And then
like for you, because you go from your signature dish, which you said is all about like just got your comfort zone, to when you get to that final service and you're picking out your menu.
Yeah.
How did that change, like in terms of planning? Did you want to kind of cook outside your comfort zone to get to execute things that you think Gordon would appreciate?
Yes. What I try to stay focused on is that I was applying for a job at a steakhouse, so I was trying to do food that would translate to a steakhouse. But I really needed my imprint to be on there. I'm slow and low. I'm East Coast. Like we get fat in the winter and work it off in the spring, and that's very much how I cook. So I was happy that there were a few elements there that I could do. I had like really nice braised collards and pork collar, and used the pot liquor as a sauce. Like that's really like grandma's recipe. But then I also had like a really nice crab and avocado, something light in California style. And so I tried to mix it up, and I had the help of Chef Andy, of course, who I was really lucky to have as my sous chef for that season. But yeah, I went kind of played both sides of the fence there. But yeah, moving past dinner service, my team really kicked Justin's team's ass. They really did. Not me beating Justin, just my squad, just pulled together, and they had never worked together before. So that's to see that, to be at the head of your kitchen, and just for me to be able to turn around and say push, push, push. And then they did, and they just delivered it. It was remarkable.
That's awesome.
But standing there holding that door, it was, Chef does like a 3 count, which actually lasts like
forever.
Forever. And he's playful with it, which it was not the time to be playing with Justin at all. And I can remember seeing like a slight reflection in the door of myself, and I just, hand to God on everything I love. I could see myself, and I said, did you give it everything you have? Is there anything left that you could give to this kitchen? And the answer was no. And so I would have been okay either way. It would have been okay either way. I don't like to just be okay. But when I pushed down and the door opened, I remember stepping through, and I stopped and I looked back just to make sure that Justin, I'm like, wait, maybe it's the both of us. No, it's just me. And I pushed out, and I can remember being at the top of the steps, and I'm usually like, go, go, go. And I remember standing at the top of the steps and just like looking down and forcing myself to take a deep breath. And I was like, you have to take this in. You're never going to have this moment again. And I saw Dana right away. I saw my team down here, my mom, my girl, and then I walked very carefully down the steps because I was definitely scared of kind of turfing it. But it really was. It's so bittersweet. It's such a culmination of everything that you allowed that show to take from you, and everything that you willingly gave, and then coupled with everything you learned from it. So it was a really weird mix of emotions, but one of the most quintessential moments of my life.
So you obviously won. You did your residency where you the winner. Tell us where you are now.
I am now overseeing the U.S. division of the Gordon Ramsay group. So I know.
That's so
mind-blowing.
Awesome.
What?
So awesome.
I know.
What?
There's some days I wake up and I'm not sure either. But yeah, I was at stake for almost 2 years, a year past my contract. The executive chef of Gordon Ramsay Burger at Planet Hollywood.
Great shakes.
Very
there.
good, I know, right?
So good.
He left to go help open Bridge Street in Hong Kong. Gordon asked me to slide over. I didn't really want to go, but there's method behind all of his madness.
Correct.
And I needed to be more polished in that role. I needed to learn the P&Ls. I needed to manage a bigger squad. I needed more responsibility. And I'm glad that I was encouraged to do it by Chef and his team, and went there and was able to grow and learn under that Gordon umbrella. And then the opportunity came where, he felt like he needed somebody in the States to kind of be on the ground and able to go to all 4 locations within Caesars Entertainment. And I was kind of that natural choice for him, I guess. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
He barely got the question out of his mouth. I was like, yes, I'll take the job.
Yes, I will.
So, no, it was really great. I mean, it's hard and it's a lot of pressure, but I wouldn't want it any other way. Again, like I said, when you get complacent, you kind of stop living, So
it's going to be awesome to know that he sees that potential in you, that he wanted you.
Yes. And it's, I've disappointed him probably 2 times that he said out loud where I made a mistake, and it is heartbreaking. And you go to bed with it, and you wake up with it, and then all day long you're just like plating every single dish on the menu, like doing every single dish. And I think he knows that, and it makes me better.
Sure.
And as I'm better, my team's better, his team's better, and we get to let the empire grow. So yeah, I couldn't ask for a better mentor or a better group of colleagues actually to be working with. I'm insanely fortunate that way.
Do you call him Chef or Gordon?
Chef. Usually Chef. He yells at me, "Oh, call me Gordon." And I'm like, "Yeah, Chef." Okay.
Right.
Just like I'm going to take off this Sunday. No
Yeah,
problem.
exactly.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Whatever you want. Christina, thank you so much for
Thanks
being
for
on the
having
show.
me. You guys are
Man,
great.
Yeah,
this is
applause
awesome.
one more time. Let's
Yeah.
hear it.
Yeah,
She loves that. Yes.
They're like, no, this is closing music because you've been talking the whole time. No, we really appreciate it. This is
Thank you.
really a treat. Ladies and gentlemen, we have wrapped up another episode. We want to thank you for tuning in again. I've been your host, Lem Gonsalves. You can find me all day at The Poet Saint, everywhere on social media. Frank Moran, where can they find you, sir?
You can find me at HappyGoJackie on Twitter and IO West every Tuesday night at 9:30 with my improv team, Max.
Yeah. And Christina, tell the fans where they can find you, girl.
You can find me everywhere. No, Las Vegas, but on Twitter, Chef Christina W. Instagram, Chef Christina M. Wilson.
Awesome. Thanks for tuning in. Until next week, we will see you then. Peace.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV Network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.